Welcome. I'm Denise VanBuren, President General of the National Society of the DAR. Like you, I'm disappointed that we can't be together physically in order to conduct the 130th Continental Congress, but I assure you we are going to present to you an experience that will make you feel as though you are right here at your headquarters here in the heart of the District of Columbia. I am standing on the steps of DAR Constitution Hall on busy 18th Street right here in Washington, D.C. Now, if you've attended Congress in the past, you already know that much of the business occurs within the auditorium here at Constitution Hall. We'll be spending a lot of time there this week. So we're going to concentrate our tour on the rest of the complex here at 1776 D Street. So let's get started on what I call the PGA Tour, the President General's awesome tour of DAR headquarters. Get your bearings. We're here now on C Street at our national headquarters, leaving behind DAR Constitution Hall and John Russell Pope's C Street Terrace that you can see behind me. We are approaching the DAR Founders Memorial, designed by DAR member Gertrude Vanderbilt Whitney, and dedicated, of course, to the four women who founded our national society. Since I joined the National Society in 1988, I have marveled at all of the patriotic symbolism that you can find within the DAR if you look for it. And here's a great example. Behind me is the portico, 13 columns representing the 13 original states. Make sure when you are here next that you take time to visit this beautiful spot that overlooks the Washington Monument and the President's Park. So even some of those members who've had the privilege of attending Continental Congress in person at DAR Constitution Hall may not appreciate the fact that the original building for our National Society was here, Memorial Continental Hall, which sits on 17th Street facing the President's Park, with the White House here and the beautiful Washington Monument right to our right in our view shed. Now, this is an important piece of property here in our nation's capital, but would you believe that when our predecessors purchased it, the local newspapers poked a little bit of fun at us, said only women would be so foolish to purchase land that was then a marshland in order to build their national headquarters. We know now, of course, that this is in fact the most valuable piece of real estate owned by women anywhere in the world. We're so very proud of it. Memorial Continental Hall originally fulfilled the purpose of being not only our National Society's offices, but our auditorium, even our museum and our library. I'm anxious to give you a peek inside, so let's keep going on our tour. Once we enter the building through the public entrance on D Street, we arrive at this corridor here within the administration wing of our national headquarters. The first thing you'll notice is the donor wall. It's here that we have an opportunity to recognize those supporters who have been able to provide financial support for our National Society's projects, in particular that of the current President General. Down the hallway, we will find the offices of the Registrar General and the Librarian General, as well as the Symes Technology Center. And if you'll notice on the wall, you will also see bronze plaques. These are used to document, commemorate, celebrate the achievements of prior administrations, all happening right here in what is normally a busy corridor here at our national headquarters. Welcome to the DAR Museum, where time has essentially stood still since March of 2020. That is when the pandemic forced the closure of public buildings here in our nation's capital. It's also the time that we had just opened our new illuminating design exhibit in our gallery space. So I'm anxious for you to be able to come back to this beautiful museum and to appreciate that exhibit, and also to better appreciate all of the valuable items here in our collection, which have in large part been donated by members over the course of more than a century. I am particularly pleased to share with you the beautiful Wal Morris desk, which was just added in recent years to our collection. It's one of the finest examples of its kind, and in fact, it elevates our entire furniture collection here. So we're anxious to get you back, and I'm hoping that soon we will see you here at this beautiful DAR museum that was completely renovated during the administration of Ann Turner Dillon. Well, this magnificent space likely needs little introduction. It is, of course, the DAR Library, celebrating this year 125 years. On these historic shelves, you will find approximately 200,000 volumes. About 40,000 of them are family histories that exist in one place and nowhere else in the world. It is one of our members' favorite locations here in the building, and of course, during Continental Congress, it's normally bustling with all sorts of activity. We're very anxious to get you back here to take advantage of this collection and also to appreciate this magnificent space that you helped to support. It has tremendous ornamental detail. This was, of course, our original auditorium when our National Society first built Memorial Continental Hall in 1905 before we outgrew the space and needed to move over to DAR Constitution Hall on 18th Street. This also is a space that is flooded with natural light due to its magnificent overhead lay light, a beautiful ornamental feature, a functional feature that was restored completely during the administration of Mary Ann Wright. So anxious to get you back here. And in the meantime, please do take advantage of all the resources that we now have online for your DAR library. I hope that during the course of Congress that you'll be following the schedule and watching the website so that you can avail yourself of all the virtual tours of our beautiful period rooms. Here's the Maryland room, and this is the Tennessee room. We have now arrived at one of my most favorite places in our beautiful building. This, of course, is the O'Byrne Gallery, named in honor of Mrs. O'Byrne from Indiana, who served as our President General after World War II. This was, however, originally the DAR Museum space before we outgrew Memorial Continental Hall and were able to move our museum collection up into the period rooms that we're now familiar with, and of course our beautiful gallery. This is now used largely as an event space. Many weddings and other special occasions are conducted here in the O'Byrne Gallery. It is not only magnificent here in its design and frankly in terms of its upkeep and maintenance, but also the fact that it sits adjacent to the portico, the 13 original columned portico that looks out over the Washington Monument. What a majestic setting this is for weddings and any other type of special event. Very much in demand as a wedding location, but also as a scene for various movies that are filmed here, often as a location that purports to be the White House. And this is the Pennsylvania foyer, the original entrance into Memorial Continental Hall. Our guests would have streamed up the stairs from 17th Street, gone through our magnificent doors, and then entered Memorial Continental Hall's auditorium space in order to attend concerts, lectures, and many other very special events. This beautiful space was recently restored by the generous Daughters of Pennsylvania, and I would like to point out one of my favorite parts of it, and that is overhead. There are 10 busts of major figures from the American Revolution. These were donated by individual states of the DAR. I see, for example, Nathan Hale, John Hancock. Behind me is George Clinton, Ethan Allen, and of course, front and center, the founding father of America, General George Washington himself. So when Memorial Continental Hall was being constructed, again, it's dedicated in 1905, various states stepped forward to sponsor its various places. And I'm standing now in the Connecticut boardroom, so called because it was the Connecticut State Society, those generous daughters from the state of Connecticut, who sponsored this beautiful space in our national headquarters. It was here that the executive committee conducted its first deliberations, and here even that the National Board of Management met during those nascent days of our National Society. It has always intrigued me to think about the business that was conducted in this beautiful space. It has also fascinated me to think about the decisions that they made here that set us down the path of our journey throughout the history of DAR. So many decisions made right here in the beautiful Connecticut boardroom, which was just recently restored by the generous daughters of, you guessed it, Connecticut. You may not recognize this space. It's on the 3rd floor of Memorial Continental Hall, and it is our banquet hall. Since the very beginning of the National Society and Memorial Continental Hall, this has been the place where executives and even the National Board of Management members are provided their lunch during those times when they're in town. For executives, that means during our weeks of deliberations in February, April, June, October, and December. And for the National Board of Management, that typically involves meetings that are held in February and October. So during those times, you can have as many as, in fact, more than 100 women who are enjoying a meal that is served here by the amazing members of the Property Beautification and Hospitality Committee who serve as our hostesses when we're in town. So we're grateful to them. We are also grateful to the members of the North Carolina State Society who recently sponsored the restoration of this beautiful space, the banquet hall. Part of the fun of taking you on this PGA tour, that's the President General's awesome tour, is my ability to take you to some spaces that you might normally never see. And I'm standing now on one of them. I am actually atop the portico on C Street. You know, those 13 columns that we're now all familiar with. Well, this is the space above it. It's a terrace that was once actually used quite a bit. There was a canopy here, and before the construction of the other buildings here on our block, this was an event space that sometimes our predecessors would, underneath this canopy, actually have events here high above the portico and also in view of the Washington Monument. So we've now completed our tour of Memorial Continental Hall, the first building built by the Daughters of the American Revolution, and it's time to take you and show you a little bit about the administration building. Surprise! Since the last time you were here at our national headquarters, we have transformed the former office space for the RG Data Entry Department into a beautiful retail shopping experience for our DAR store. Now, when you come off the elevator in the lower level, you'll have an opportunity to purchase all of your chapter supplies and all that great President General's project merchandise right here in a beautiful retail shopping environment. Here on the 2nd floor of the administration building, you'll find lots of important offices and functions. In this corridor, the office of the DAR magazine and also the events coordinator who is responsible for all of our rentals. Now, let's visit the office of the Historian General and the Americana collection. When next you find yourself at our national headquarters, I hope that you will make time to come to the 2nd floor of the administration building, where you will find the Americana room. Housed here within the general offices of the Historian General, you will find information regarding the Americana collection. It was begun in 1940 to commemorate the 50th anniversary of our National Society, and it now contains more than 4,100 early American documents and imprints that tell the story of our new nation through court records and through household inventories and personal diaries and other fascinating documents. Also on display in this space, you will see presentations, exhibits that are mounted by the Office of the Historian General, taken from the archives of the National Society that tell much about the history of our organization. And when you're here, please do be sure to check out this beautiful desk that is used by our Historian General as her own desk while she is in town. It was presented to the National Society in 1909 by the Continental chapter here in Washington, D.C., which has since disbanded. It is made of mahogany, but it is a complete reproduction of the desk on which the Declaration of Independence was signed. It's also significant to us here at the DAR because it is the desk that was used a century ago for the Washington Conference on the Limitation of Armaments. And there, the important documents were signed following World War I that actually qualified our Memorial Continental Hall to be designated a National Historical Monument. So please be sure, when next you visit, to check out the Americana Room here on the second floor. So it's probably fairly obvious to you now that our National Society has been expanded and added on to and modified as needed in order to meet the needs of the Society. I'm here in the Atrium now on the second floor, and here's a great clue for you. This was once an exterior wall. It's now, of course, an interior part of the beautiful Atrium, which is flooded with natural light overhead by day. I also want to point out to you this beautiful legacy of love for children sculpture of an eagle that was commissioned during the Kemper administration. It's now here on permanent display in the beautiful Atrium space. What a grand patriotic symbol. Here's another beautiful space, this one on the second floor of the administration building. It's the President General's Assembly Room, a place for meetings of employees or members, a place to assemble here in our national headquarters in order to carry forward the mission of our society. It is a magnificent space with its beautiful barrel vaulted ceiling and a lot of ornamental detail, also a lot of patriotic symbolism included within the decor here. You'll notice over my shoulder the famous Eagle Lectern. It was donated to the National Society back in 1905 at the dedication of Memorial Continental Hall by the Powderhorn chapter of Rhode Island, which has sadly since been disbanded. You'll probably recognize it. That's because we've loaned it to the inaugural committee during the last 6 inaugural ceremonies to be used for official events such as the inaugural luncheons or the gift acceptance ceremonies. I hope that when you're next in our national headquarters that you will come to the President General's Assembly Room on the second floor and have your photograph taken next to our beautiful Eagle Lectern. I'm now standing in what is one of my personal favorite places here in our national headquarters complex. It is technically the eastern end of DAR Constitution Hall. This is the eastern far wall, if you will, this beautiful stained glass window dedicated in memory of Mrs. Alfred Brousseau, who served as President General in the late 1920s when the hall was being constructed and finally dedicated in 1929. At that time, this space in which I'm standing becomes the DAR Library. It had been functioning in small quarters over Memorial Continental Hall. It arrives here and operates here until about 1950, when in turn it goes back to Memorial Continental Hall and takes up residency on the floor and in the tiers of our original headquarters building. This space then is converted to several uses. On one end, we have the National Officers Club Assembly Room, used for a variety of meetings here at the headquarters. And on the other end, we have the national headquarters of the National Society of Children of the American Revolution, a space that we donate to them in recognition of our longtime partnership with the CAR, which raises, of course, patriotic citizens. This space had been CAR display case that many of you will remember featured very heavy dark wood cabinets completed in the 1970s. In the last administration, under Mrs. Dillon's leadership, those cabinets were removed and this space was restored to its original beautiful grandeur. And a highlight of that is the fact that you may now also progress down this magnificent staircase and find yourself in the Kansas Chapel, a great place to steal away for a few quiet moments to reflect and also to appreciate the beautiful restoration of that space, complete with a stained glass window of George Washington at prayer at Valley Forge. A prominent feature, a noticeable one throughout the halls of Memorial Continental Hall, is the grand tradition of having a portrait of each of our Presidents General. So here on the second floor of the administration wing, you'll find 4 in this short area. Mrs. Kemper, who served, of course, from the state of California. Mrs. Wright, Mary Ann T. Wright. Coming up on this side is Anne Flack, a legendary President General who we just lost recently, the last couple of years. Her symbol was the drum. She was a Revolutionary War reenactor who is well remembered for having drummed her way up the main aisle at Continental Congress, and of course, Mrs. Calvin from California. I had the opportunity to know and to work with all four of these women. What a privilege. Very happy to conclude our PGA tour. That's the President General's awesome tour of your national headquarters right here in the office of the President General. It has been at this desk that I and my predecessors have directed so much of the work of our National Society. I draw your attention to the painting above the fireplace, a beautiful marine scene. It was painted by President General Anne Rogers Minor, a noted watercolorist. I was really overjoyed recently to have 10 smaller paintings of Mrs. Minor's restored and hung here in the office of the President General as a reminder of her very unique talent. In fact, each of the women who has been elected to our society's highest office has brought to the position her own unique blend of experience, passion, and talent for the work of the National Society. I admire them so much, and I've thought so often during the course of the last year of the courage and determination that they displayed as they led the National Society through world wars, the Spanish flu epidemic, the Great Depression, September 11th. I drew on their courage, and I know that they have been watching us. I know that they have been very proud of everything that our society has accomplished during the course of the pandemic, and I know how grateful they are that you've continued the important work of the National Society, Daughters of the American Revolution. So thanks for joining the tour, and now let's get back to the important business of DAR. Let's rise and shine for America.